Hey there! Have you ever fallen into this psychological trap? Let's set the scene. You sit down at your desk at 8 p.m., take a deep breath, and tell yourself, alright, tonight I am going to focus completely. You start working. You write a few sentences, solve one equation, or maybe finish reading a single page. You feel like you've put in so much effort, you're maybe even sweating a bit, so surely at least 30 minutes have passed, right? You nervously glance at the corner of your screen, or reach out to tap your phone just to check your progress. And the harsh truth hits you. It's only 8:05 p.m. It's a truly sinking feeling, isn't it? Why does time feel so agonizingly slow when we are trying to do difficult work? And just like that, instead of focusing on the task, your mind starts playing tag with the second hand. You check every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, you worry about how much time you have left. We often think that constantly checking the time is time management, a way to control our pace. But in reality, your brain is screaming the exact opposite. That seemingly harmless action is actually the fastest way to kill your flow state and push your cortisol levels to the limit. Welcome back. Today, let's decode clock watching syndrome with Green and find a way to blindfold this strict judge once and for all. So, let's dig a bit deeper. Why do we actually check the time? If you are honest with yourself, you aren't checking it just to know if it's 8:30 or 8:31. You are checking it because you are seeking reassurance. When we are doing deep work like studying a complex chapter or writing code, our brains enter a state of high uncertainty. You don't know exactly when you'll finish, or if you're doing it right. This uncertainty is uncomfortable, so your brain craves a data point. It thinks, if I look at the clock, I will know where I stand. I will feel in control. It's a defense mechanism against the anxiety of the unknown. But here is where the control illusion backfires. The moment you see the numbers, you don't just see time, you see a judgment. If you are working slower than expected, the clock says, you are failing. If you are working fast, the clock says, hurry up, keep this pace. Instead of reassurance, you get a shot of cortisol, the stress hormone. Every single glance at the clock triggers a micro fight or flight response. You aren't being chased by a lion, you are just sitting at your desk. But your body reacts as if you are running out of oxygen. You start treating time not as a resource to be used, but as an enemy to be beaten. And you can't do high-quality, creative work when your brain thinks it's in a survival race. I can hear some of you saying, but Green, it literally takes half a second to look at the clock. How bad can it be? You are right. Physically, the act takes less than a second. But cognitively, the cost is massive. This brings us to the concept of switching cost. When you shift your eyes from your textbook to the clock, you aren't just moving your eyeballs, you are switching your entire neural context. You go from solving problem mode to monitoring mode. Research in attention dynamics calls this attention residue. Even after you turn your head back to your work, a part of your brain is still stuck on that time check, processing the number you just saw. It takes the average human brain about 15 to 20 minutes to reach a state of deep focus, or flow. Imagine your focus is like a heavy freight train. It takes a lot of energy to get it moving at full speed. Every time you check the clock, you are slamming on the emergency brakes. Sure, the stop only lasted a second, but now you have to spend all that energy to get the heavy train moving again. If you check the time every 10 minutes, you are effectively never reaching top speed. You are spending your entire study session in the acceleration phase, the hardest, most painful part of working. You turn a solid 3-hour block of deep work into a series of 20 shallow, fragmented, and exhausting 5-minute dashes. That is why you feel so tired, yet accomplished so little. There is an old saying that goes, A watched pot never boils. We all know this feeling. If you stand by the stove staring at the water, waiting for the bubbles to appear, 2 minutes feels like 2 hours. But if you walk away to check your email, you come back to find the water boiling over the sides. Psychologists call this the oddball effect, or subjective time dilation. When you are constantly checking the clock while studying, you are essentially standing over that pot of water. You are splitting your cognitive resources. Half of your brain is trying to work, but the other half is simply waiting. Waiting for the session to be over. Waiting for the break. Compare this to when you are scrolling through TikTok or playing a video game. You never look at the clock. You are fully immersed. And what happens? You look up and suddenly 3 hours have vanished. That is the paradox. When you ignore time, it flies. When you monitor it, it drags. By checking your phone every few minutes to see how much longer you have to study, you are voluntarily stretching your own suffering. You are taking a difficult task and making it feel twice as long and 3 times as painful. You are trapping yourself in a slow-motion torture chamber of your own making. So, what is the antidote? How do we break this toxic cycle? The solution is surprisingly simple, but it requires a bit of courage. You need to blindfold the clock. Here is the strategy. Instead of using a stopwatch that counts up, which requires you to decide when to stop, or constantly glancing at the clock on the wall, use a timer that counts down and then hide it. Set a timer for 25, 45, or 60 minutes. Press start, and then this is the crucial part. Turn your phone screen face down. Put it in a drawer. Throw a towel over your computer clock if you have to. Make the physical passage of time invisible to your eyes. You have to outsource the job of timekeeping to the machine. Trust that the alarm will ring. You don't need to supervise it. The machine does not need your help to count seconds. Your only job now is to work until you hear the sound. When you remove the visual ticking, you remove the judgment. You stop asking, "Are we there yet?" And you start actually driving the car. You might feel anxious for the first 5 minutes. That is normal withdrawal. But once you push past that urge to peak, you will find a quiet mental space where your best work can finally happen. So, here is my challenge to you for your next study session. Dare to let go of the control. Set your alarm, hide the clock, and dive in. Remember, time is not a resource you need to hoard, or a judge you need to please. It is simply the space in which you live and grow. When you stop obsessing over how fast you are going, you might just find that you are actually going further than ever before. Think about a seedling. If you dug it up every hour to check if the roots had grown, you would kill it. You have to plant it, water it, and then leave it alone. Trust the process. Trust that while you are working, the results are compounding, even if you can't see them on a dial every 5 minutes. Stop counting the minutes and start making them count. Give yourself the permission to get lost in your work. That is where the joy is. That is where the flow is. And that is where you become the best version of yourself. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I hope you didn't check the clock too often during this video. If you found this helpful, drop a like and let me know in the comments. Do you prefer a timer or a stopwatch? I'll see you in the next video. Keep moving forward.